Next year will mark 50 years since the end of the Vietnam War. And here in Boston, members of the local Vietnamese community are working to create a permanent monument in Dorchester's Townfield Park. The project's called 1975, a Vietnamese Diaspora Commemoration Initiative. It'll draw on stories, photos, and lived experiences of community elders who fled from the war to shape the installation. I'm joined now by the co-organizers of the initiative, Ngọc-Trân Vu, Linh-Phương, and Khang Nguyễn, Vice President of the Vietnamese American community of Massachusetts. Thank you all for being with us.
Thank you for having us.
So, Ngọc, I'm gonna start with you. And talk to me about this particular initiative, because I imagine a lot of folks who aren't in the Vietnamese community aren't aware of some of the events that brought folks to Massachusetts, to the Dorchester area, and the importance of this initiative.
Yeah, so, I mean, this project, this initiative has been a long time coming. Really, I would say years really in the making, especially seeds being planted directly here in the community. So next year is the year 2025, and it's the 50th anniversary commemoration of Black April and also the Vietnamese diaspora to the United States globally. And so really in the community, wanting to build something to really be a marker right in our community and to commemorate the stories, the lived experience, the legacy of the war. So really, that's what this initiative encapsulates.
Well, Lynn, you know, speaking of lived experiences, I know that so many folks have a direct connection to this particularly terrible event in Vietnamese culture, and then also the rebuilding of families afterward.
Yes, most definitely. And this is a intergenerational experience. I mean, the war has been fought. The war is continuing to be fought in our memory, as well as in the ways that we have been living and presenting out the traumas of the war in our own daily lives. And that's in the elders, and that's in ourselves. And when I say ourselves, I'm talking about the younger generation, and it will continue to impact the later generations to come as well. So this is an intergenerational effort to build something in a place that is to commemorate, to honor, respect the past, but also is something to educate and to also connect the present generations to the past, and then for the later generations to still feel that, you know, they are a part of this diaspora, and this diaspora community that is still more to come as well.
Why is that so important to connect the generations?
Because we are a family, and I feel like, I mean, I know in my family as well, it is very important for me as the younger generation to know where I come from. Right, and there's a Vietnamese proverb, "Ăn quả nhớ kẻ trồng cây." When eating the fruit, know who planted the tree. And so our parents, our elders, our grandparents are here. They came here, they fled their country, they uprooted their lives, they were displaced from their homes, their villages, to come here and sacrifice so much to come here. And we are here, and we're here living out our dreams. We're able to do that because of our parents, our elders. And some of us, even myself and John, we were young when we actually came here. We sought refuge here. So we're part of that younger community of refugees from 1975 as well. And so it's very, very important for not only our generation to remember that, that those sacrifices that has been done in order for us to be here, but for later generations to know that if you're a part of the Vietnamese American community, you know, you are also part of this history as well.
Absolutely. And Khang, I mean, talk to me about this, how long it has taken for finally a monument to the work of that trying to be put into the park, to Dorchester, and its connection to Dorchester.
Well, I came here 1984, a refugee with a journey, a terrible journey, escaped by boat, and then got to Thailand and stayed there for 2.5 years. So when I came here, I'm really young, about 17 years old. And since then, I contribute to the community. We want to build a strong community with our generation. Certainly that Trân and Linh come to me, connect to the Vietnamese community. I live in the area. I know them for a while. But when they bring up the idea of the memorial project, it's a wonderful one, and I thought about it for a long time, but, you know, my ability maybe had limited. You know, so, but, you know, they young generation, and they really want to go back to the root where they come from. I want to thank you for the old generation has sacrificed their life. And now it's time for them. They want to build a strong community with a history that cannot be, forget. They bring up the project, and that's wonderful. And the community come up, and then they happy to support whatever they can to make things happen in reality.
I can imagine it feels good that someone is trying to acknowledge what yourself and so many others went through just to come here and live part in the, the American dream, I guess. Yeah.
The only thing that surprised me that I thought my generation remember about the war. They coming up with very young. Some of them were born in this country. But they came back to the community and they want to help. And their effort is really good with help the Vietnamese community with this project. And that is their initiative. I didn't mention anything. She called me, said, Khang, this happened 2 years ago. I said, wow, good idea. And then she working hard. Both of them working really hard. And now we had a momentum to go on. Hopefully it happen very soon.
Yeah. Do you think this will help, John and Lynn, either of you can answer this. Do you think this will help to allow folks outside the Vietnamese community to really understand that what folks like Khang and others went through, the legacy you all are carrying on as well?
Yes. I mean, I think it's a part of it. I mean, this is the first time something like this is happening in the Dorchester community and in New England, to have a permanent, reminder on the legacy of war and what it means to be a part of the Vietnamese diaspora community. And I think we're mindful of the fact that we live, in the U.S. among so many, diverse community. And so as much as the primary audience of this project is the Vietnamese community, we're also mindful of the narrative of war, the narrative of its impact resonating with other communities that also shared that similar very story of migration and displacement, especially centering war. And so we're really, hopeful in this, narrative being resonant with so many communities that share, and also in the experience of displacement, of migration, and the waves of coming to America.
Yeah, yeah.
And I will add to that, I am an instructor in Asian American Studies at UMass Boston. And in my very own course, which is Asian American Studies 294, Resources for Vietnamese American Studies. So that is not a course that is required to take by the students. That is a course that's chosen to be taken by the students. And yes, a good percentage of my students in that course are Vietnamese American young students. And they come into the course, and one of the questions is, why are Vietnamese here in the United States? And that's not only the question that is shared by, with students outside of the Vietnamese American community, that is also students in the Vietnamese American community. They too are yearning, desiring to understand and to learn the historical and contemporary contexts and where their stories, their family stories situate in those contexts. And so it's very important that this memorial, because it will also be an educative platform. It will be a commemorative platform. We will also incorporate through, this memorial other multimedia kind of platforms and ways to share stories.
Documentary as well, right?
Yeah. Well, there's also ways in that memorial to share the stories and the historical context, the history of the Vietnamese diaspora as well, for many more wider audiences and communities to understand and to share, because there are a lot of shared experiences. And as the world is today, the diaspora communities continue to multiply. And so there are some of these sacrifices that our elders have shared since 1975 with even the diaspora communities that continue to shape the world today.
What was it like collecting those stories?
The stories intergenerationally.
Yeah.
Someone have asked this of us before, and I will use the same word. It has been very powerful because I think the members of the Vietnamese, I'm just talking about the Vietnamese diaspora community in general, there are a lot of members who want to tell these stories. They just not have been safe put in safe places to tell these stories, or they feel like these stories don't matter in the greater narrative of America. But they totally matter. You know, the stories of, and any stories of the experiences since the Vietnam War, in the Vietnam War, or the American War in Vietnam, as some people call it, all matter. But somehow we've been socialized to believe that they don't matter, right? And so it's been very powerful for folks in the Vietnamese community to regain that power, to reclaim those stories as their own. And those are the dominant narratives that should exist in the global as well as American society as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Khang, I'm curious, and you can give you the last word here. What do you hope folks take away from both this documentary project and this monument? What do you hope that people, Vietnamese and non-Vietnamese, take from it?
Well, I noticed on the April 28th that when they do the event at Refugee, the room is 200 people, but you know what? How much? The young generation, two-thirds coming.
Two-thirds.
Yeah. Two-thirds.
Yeah.
So that means, and then look like when I came here, I thought that my generation ended. The next generation will be totally American.
Yeah.
They don't want to know anything about it. But that could be a mistake. When I see it, the old generation really care and want to find out about this project. So I think that most people want to know. Like, to be honest, my kids, they know that I'm a refugee, but they want to know more why I'm here. And my story is a true story, how I escaped by boat with 18 people, turned up to be 38 people. And we make it 7 days, and like 90% we die, but we make it.
Wow.
So that's how, when you look at the story, you will see how the old generation sacrificed their life for the young generation. Like her dad had sacrificed his life in prison and came here for her. So they came to learn, and they want to support this project. I say that it's a huge momentum if you come on that day.
Yeah, amazing stories, and we'll continue to follow the progress. Thank you all for being with us.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.